All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome, Rabid here, and we are finishing up the build because it has been 2 days since we started recording, prepping these things for the new CPUs that are going to show up, and here they are. 7950X number 1, 7950X number 2. So we got two 7950Xs here when it comes down to the price. Now, I wish I would have got a whole bunch of 7950X 3Ds about 3 months ago when they were actually cheaper than 7950Xs, but prices on 7000 series seem to be climbing up because the 9000 series is currently a flop. So yeah, that kind of sucks here, but moving forward here, I just finished flashing the BIOSes to the latest stable versions here. I'm just going to pull out this right here. I do believe it's done. Yep. So I'm going to rip that out right there. Flash both BIOSes here. Now we're on the latest stable version here. So now we're going to get these out of the box, get them in these rigs, put the coolers on, and get some hash rate. What a freaking disaster I got going on here. I got pulled apart Kaspa miners I got to put back together kind of here. I'm waiting on some more fans to come from Ice River. As we knew, an AL box kind of blew up there. And we recently saw a video from Panda about the struggle is real. Like, I got a mess freaking everywhere coming down into this hallway and going across everything. We can see there's boxes and stuff all over the freaking place that we got to open and everything. But I do got to come over here to grab some coolers. As we know, we have a box full of coolers right here, kind of mixed with some garbage here, but there are all coolers in here that I'm going to have to utilize for this build. Bam, there we go. Some 120 Evo thermal right coolers here, and these things are only like $25 or something. They're extremely cheap and they work extremely well. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is lay this thing over on each side because there's room here. Once there's a cooler on there, I won't be able to lay it over. So I can get the CPUs in nice and flat like this. They don't have to worry about dropping anything or possibly bending pins and things like that. When putting in a CPU, you wanna be very careful because those pins can be very delicate here. Hopefully, nothing is already bent here. I didn't inspect these ones, but I'll do that prior to installing the CPU. All right, so for this one, the pins all look good. So if anything happens here, it was all human error and I messed up. But so far, this side looks good. CPU 1 is installed. There you can see which way it actually goes. The little arrow or dealio is right there. There will be an arrow on your CPU as well. Just match those up. This one was actually to the bottom right because they are reverse basing how I am mounting these. So don't accidentally just throw it in there and think it's always to the top left or something, because it is depending how you have your motherboard situated. In this case, it is reversed because of them being flipped on this type of stand. And flipping it over, the pins on this side looks good, and up to the top left we can see now where our arrow is. So we do situate it normally with it facing upright because I just flipped it over and we are on the other side of the motherboard with these stands. All right, so if you've never installed a cooler or these particular coolers before, that is pretty simple process here. First thing we got to do is remove the AM4 bracket. So here we can see these guys right here. So we're going to remove this screw, that screw, that screw, and that screw, and take these black mounting brackets off. That's just for default coolers like the Wraith Prisms and things like that. So we're going to remove those and put in our new mounting kit. All right, so I do got those off, and here inside the box you can see this AM4, AM5. So we're going to take these off. We're going to put these red things over the screw holes right here. So you can see they're like risers. They're going to go over those screw holes right there. And then we're going to put the brackets on top of that and screw them in. All right, so here you can see the brackets that we got to put on here. And this is where we did put those risers on top those screw holes there. So these are going to go this way. You're going to want them facing away from the CPU. So as you can see, the way they're kind of situated like this, they're going to be pointing away from the CPU, the farthest point, and your anchor points for your cooler are actually in the middle here. You can see those screw holes kind of sitting up. So they're going to sit like this. Then we're going to screw down the cooler onto these mounting brackets. All right, so now you can kind of see the brackets are all mounted here. They're screwed down, and now I'm going to flip it over, do the same thing on the other side, and then I can stand it up and put on my coolers, as well as thermal paste. Don't forget the thermal paste. All right, so we are all complete. Both sides have the brackets mounted. Now we got to apply our thermal paste. And for thermal paste, I'm going to be using this big fat wad of Noctua thermal paste right here. So what does thermal paste do? It pretty much adds a little barrier in between and allows the heat to escape from your CPU and into your cooler and the heat sink there much quicker. It's just like a conductor between the two barriers there to allow easy transfer of that heat. So that's pretty much what's going on here. If you actually forget to put on thermal paste, you'll know right away because your CPU will get very hot and get very hot very fast. So there's my paste. It looks like a disgusting turd. Not the prettiest job, but realistically, guys, you don't need anything perfect. You know, there's different ways to do it. All you need is an even spread over the main chips here, and the main chips are mostly in the center area here. So as long as you get most of your stuff in there when it spreads out, when you put on your cooler, you're all good. It doesn't need to look pretty or anything like a lot of people do say you need. All right, so next up, I am going to install this cooler. At the bottom, there is plastic. Make sure you remove that plastic because it'll melt very fast. It will stink, and you'll probably have a very bad day. All right, so I do have this all installed here, but what I did is I put it on, I lined up to 2 screw holes on each side so it was there, and then I cranked it down so this was on like 2 or 3 threads, and then I did the same on the other side, so it was on like 2 or 3 threads. It's not focusing directly on it. And then once you do know it's there, then I go like 5 turns down, 5 turns down, you know, 3 turns, back and forth nice and even. Then I crank it down, all good to go. Once you're done, make sure you do take your fan cable and plug that in, or your fan will not get any power and it won't spin, and again you'll overheat and have a bad day. So that's pretty much the basic installation of this cooler 101. Obviously it wasn't in the greatest detail. If you want a full detailed video on how to do this step by step, let me know in the comment section. I can definitely get that done for you guys. But now I got to flip this over. It's going to be a little bit harder to get the other one on because I'm going to have to put this on sideways and put the thermal paste on sideways. So it's a little trickier, but the same steps do apply. All right, so I got my thermal paste on. It actually looks nicer than when I had it laying flat because I have it standing up right now, and it worked out pretty darn well. So that's pretty good. It is a little thick, but it's all good. All right, mission complete. So we have everything fully built right now. We can see the coolers installed, obviously the CPUs, the SSDs, RAM, everything we did the other day in that video when veruscoin pumped. Veruscoin did pay for this rig from that pump, so that's pretty darn awesome here. And the other side, the same, is all put together. So now all I got to do here is plug in a power cable, get in an HDMI cable, a keyboard, and set up the BIOS for each one. And then we should be up and running. Take this to the 220 volt farm and all good to go, hashing away. So this should be an additional 44 kilohash on something like Random X, or I can't even remember what SPR is. So this should be like extra 60 kilohash there and so on. So yeah, because it is 2 rigs, so you know, 22 kilohash around, anywhere from 21.5 to 22 kilohash Random X per rig here. So there's 2 rigs on this dual stand here. So pretty sweet here. That's why I do like to build in 2 rigs at a time. I don't just buy 1 rig and put in half a stand. I do like to do it in pairs like this, and that way in the next time I build a rig, I'll stack it on top of this one. And if I really want to go crazy, I'll stack them 3 high. But that's pretty insane. I probably won't really do that. All right, I got the power plugged in. We got a keyboard in there. Internet we don't really need, but I do want to see what the power and stuff is. And maybe I can tweak it a little better than my other ones. We'll see what happens here. We got the HDMI cable in, so we have some video here. That's wicked about 7000 series. You don't need a GPU, has integrated graphics. Love that, makes everything so much easier. And first time boot up, you always need that power switch. So I'm going to flip the power on here. Hit the power switch. Hopefully we get some blinky lights. I'm on the black RAM, so I'm actually going to have to watch the fan to make sure it starts spinning. Hit the button. There we go. Looking good. I got to start spamming the delete key. All right, so I am inside the BIOS here. I just got to grab the keyboard here. I get mixed up when I got 2 rocking. So I do have it. Now I'm going to hit F2. So we're going to go to F2 here. And now I want to set everything manually. I guess first thing we want to do is make sure we turn off our system settings, get all that ready to roll. Not turn off our system settings, but make sure everything's good. You want to make sure your system date and time is on par because this will conflict with Hive OS, and if you try updating Hive OS and stuff, you may run into issues where it won't update the miner and things like that if you don't have the proper date and time in. So this is a major key as well. If you're having issues and everything seems fine, check your date in your BIOS and make sure it is correct. So right now it is 11:48 a.m. my time, so I'm just gonna go 11. Oh, I butchered that. So 11, 948. So that's close enough there. So up here it is 926. So we have to change the day down by 1. Oh, no, go back. Stop it. Oh my gosh, I am being horrible at this. Why? Why am I doing this? We need 28 here. 28. 26, I mean. 26. I don't even know what day it is. So yeah, it is Thursday today, 11:49. So that's all good. Now we're going to come in and we got to change our find all our stuff here for, it's been a while since I did this. Wow. So we need our platform power. Yeah, that's what it is. AC back, always off. We got to turn this on. So what that does is anytime your power goes out or you turn the power off on your PSU and turn it on, it'll automatically turn on. You no longer need that power switch attached to your rig. Now, coming in the tweaker here, we do want an all-core overclock at 4.5, which is the base clock here. So we're going to go opposite here and we're going to go to 4.5, or in this case 45, depending on your multiplier. So 45, which means 4.5 gigahertz. We're going to go down into our DDR5 auto booster. We're actually not going to do anything with that. We're going to turn this into Expo 1, and then high bandwidth support. We want to enable high bandwidth support here, and that's pretty much all we got to do minus our voltages. You don't want to run this at stock. We are going to drop this down. I can't remember what I want. I'm going to try 9.3. Sometimes it works. Maybe I'm going to go 9.4. Hopefully that works. So we're going to go 0.94 volts. I'm simply going to hit the F10 button, save that, and exit. We're going to let it boot and see if we are detected in HiveOS. All right, there we go. Rig 367950X is detected. So the past couple days, I was kind of rearranging everything so they're on par. I kind of want to bring all my 7000 series together. So I might end up moving these 5900X, renaming everything. You don't have to move your rigs around. You can just rename everything in HiveOS and then kind of remember which rigs are what, wherever they are. But I know I kind of arranged at least 16 core ones here in order. These will be the 7950Xs. This will be the next one we boot up. But now that we're into this, the other thing we got to do is we got to come into settings. By default now, I don't know when this changed. It was a while ago. You can't SSH into your rig unless you adjust a setting here. So we're going to scroll down in the settings here for this rig. And here you can see turn on SSH access and web shell. By default, this is now turned off. So we're going to click that on, and just make sure they're there. Yup. And now we'll have the ability to actually SSH in. So we're all good in that aspect. Pretty simple fix there, but everything's looking good. So now I want to slap this thing onto RandomX just to make sure we are stable for about 10 to 15 minutes. If it doesn't go down, we should be good. Again, if summertime hits and these overclocks aren't good and things heat up, it uses more power, then it might be unstable on RandomX because of that. But I like to use RandomX as the main testing point here because it is one of the most intensive algorithms. If I'm stable on something like Zephyr, any coin that's RandomX, then I can move to any other coin and not have to worry about my rigs go down. Unlike GPUs, setting up your BIOS and everything all the time is a pain, so you don't tweak for every coin individually. If you tweak for something like Verus and move to Zeph, you're going to have a lot of downtime and it's going to be having reboots and you're going to have to fix some voltages. So that's why I just go with RandomX here, and then, you know, everything is good for every other coin. So now I'm just going to come up and go Zeph, Hero Miners, configure, send that to the moon, and let it run for a couple minutes. All right, so we are at about 22.28 kilohash. It has been, I don't know, we got 12 shares and so on. It hasn't been too long, but so far things seem to be doing well. So I'm just going to swap it over and set up the other motherboard now to make sure it's all properly installed and working. Actually, cancel that. I do see that I don't have any temperature on the CPU. I'm pretty sure I flashed the latest beta version, but maybe I accidentally put in the stable version. So I'm actually going to update this right now. So I'm going to go into the web shell right here. I'm just going to log in right quick, user 1. And this is pretty simple. All you got to do is go Hive, replace, and list like so. And now it's going to bring up a list here. That's pretty simple. And latest beta, I'm just going to hit number 2 right now. Hit yes. And then I'm going to hit yes. So now it's going to install the latest Hive OS beta version. I always run beta on all my rigs now. You do need it for all the latest features, including cubic mining and all sorts of other stuff. A Leo, I think, even needs it. So I just run it anyway, and you always have the latest drivers and everything installed on your rigs. All right, and there we go. So it looks like I might have installed the stable version. Now we do have our temps and everything that were on the beta version. Now, once you update everything, there's also going to be some Hive OS updates with a bunch of these latest LOL miners and SRBs and XM rigs and everything you're going to need. So you're going to want to update to the latest version here as well, so you have all the latest miners installed. All right, guys, so everything is hooked up, and I got them over here on the 240 volt with all my other rigs here. So things are looking pretty good. I got all my rigs currently mining Spectre. It's slightly profitable, not that great, but I am mining it until I do hit my goal. I am trying to hit 1 million coins. I am almost there. Hopefully by the end of the week, I will be there. I guess by the end of next week, because it already is the end of the week. So one more week to go. Hopefully I hit that, and then I'm going to start looking around to see where the heck all the profit is. I got my bags ready to roll, getting ready for this altcoin season bull run. So we're going to start looking for some profit here pretty soon. But right now we are up and running in this little corner right here where it's not really using too much space. This is 10 CPU mining rigs in this little area. So that's actually pretty sweet here. I will have a link down to these stands down in the description if you're looking for this style here. They will only work on the micro ATX boards, so the tiny little motherboards. If you do have the much larger ones, there's going to be too much stick up and stuff, and you're actually going to be, you won't be able to stack them and stuff. So that's going to be kind of a bad thing for you guys. That's why they are designed for the little motherboards for little space. But these motherboards, the Gigabyte B650M DS3Hs, are freaking amazing motherboards. All you need, and they're one of the cheapest as well. So pretty sweet there when it comes to the 7000 series. All these motherboards are obviously the same motherboard. Anyway, guys, thank you for checking out this video. Are you building more CPU mining rigs? Are you building more GPU mining rigs? You buying ASICs? What the heck are you doing in this time right now for mining cryptocurrencies? And are you pumped up for the upcoming 5090 release? I know I am. I'll probably start GPU mining again once I get a couple of those RTX 5090s. I have a feeling they may be hard to get because of scalpers and bots and Nvidia doing Nvidia things where they hold back stock thinking there's a supply shortage when there's not, because everyone else is pumping out chips faster than they ever have been. So Nvidia trying to play their Nvidia games, they're just lying to us, and it's going to be really hard for them to get away with it this time. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I will see you on the next one. Rabid out.